Can you relate to this feeling? Oh my goodness, it worked. I'm talking about that sudden realization that what you had prayed for, you planned for, you prepared for, you were patient, it actually all came together and worked. Had the audacity to work. That's what I want to talk about today. But it's going to come in the form of a story about a house. Not a little house on the prairie, more like a big house in central Arkansas. Hey, I'm Toni Seville, and this is Square Footage. I like to call this your all access pass to all things real estate, everything between real and estate in this industry. So, listen, agents, you pass your test, you become licensed, and no one tells you how to approach your seller about this thing called home staging. Now, listen, that's not a criticism, it's just like an industry gap, but it needs to be bridged. Speaking of bridging it, I got to give a shout out. I can't tell this story without talking about this guy. So think about your social media friends, this whole World Wide Web thing. It affiliates us and associates us with people that we've never met before. Sometimes we fall in love. Sometimes we strike big business deals. I so happen to have a group of realtors that I call my agent crushes. Had a real estate crush on this guy. Now, I don't mean a literal crush like, no, yeah, he's handsome. Don't get me wrong, but not that type of crush. More like, man, can't wait to work with this guy, or I wish I could work with that girl, that lady, that gentleman. Well, it happened. I'm sitting on the sofa in the living room one afternoon, very, very early this year, early 2026. It's like this, I don't even think we had entered the second week of January. And I get a text message from one of my social media crushes. I'm telling you, I have been on this guy's page for about 2 years, watching him and his listings. All of his listings are amazing to me. That's how I became a crush. His listings are amazing. His marketing is so on point. And here's the ironic thing. This guy doesn't even like being on camera. If you're in Central Arkansas, then you know a realtor named Trey Clifton. I had a real estate crush on Trey. I wanted to work with him so badly, but I was intimidated. I didn't really know how to approach him. He's not alone. Like I said, I have a list of about 7. And a few of them I've had the opportunity to work with this year. But this particular story is wrapped around Trey because it was his listing. So anyway, get this text message. I'm going to go to it. Just hold tight. Hold on. I should have already had it pulled up. Just a second. So I get this text message from Trey Clifton. I'm not even knowing that he has my telephone number. But how could I not? I mean, it's all over my website and all over my socials. So let me scroll up because we're besties now. So we have all these conversations. But the very first one went a little something like this. January 13th, to be exact. Hi, Toni. This is Trey Clifton with Arkansas Land and Realty. Hope the new year is treating you well, yada, yada, yada. He went on to tell me about this large home in Chenal Downs that he was getting ready to list. What? So I had to sit there for a moment, just kind of look around, sit in the moment that one of my real estate crushes just reached out to me. Now, let me tell you why that was such a big deal in all seriousness. I was very specific in my prayers in 2025 surrounding my home staging business. I asked God to allow me to successfully enter the Little Rock luxury market. I wanted to stage luxury homes. And prior to 2025, I had not. Love the standard homes. Nothing wrong with staging standard homes. Love them. But I saw a niche that I wanted to fill. I saw a void and I wanted to kick that door in. I asked God to prepare me, to send me the right inventory, to put me in the right spaces. And I got my first set of luxury homes in 2025. Then in 2026, I got a little more specific with my prayer and I asked to stage $1 million homes. I was really specific. I was like, Lord, I can do this. I want to help the listing agent that most times has to sit a little longer than others because of that price point. January 13th, got my text message from not only one of my dream agents, but it was about a dream listing. So we met up for a consultation. That was step one. And here are some things that oftentimes you don't really understand about the home staging process. You don't really know that these types of things occur for whatever reason. And as home stagers, we joke about this. It seems like people think that we walk around with this, no, we drive around with this van, and in the van are racks of beautiful accessories, and we're just riding around, going to the grocery store, at Home Goods, that's where we live. And then they call us and they say, hey, can you stage? And we say, sure, we're on our way. It doesn't work that way. There are so many steps that go between that first phone call and the home being listed and you seeing the beautiful photography and the beautiful videos. So I'll walk you through that really quickly. We started with the consultation. We met up at the property. And the first thing I noticed was the property was gorgeous, but it had a few little edits that were necessary. One of them, Trey called it immediately. Interior and exterior paint were necessary. But you're talking about some timeless features like, black wrought iron, curved walls, 3 floors, things that you just can't beat in a home. So as I walked through, Trey and I, we walked room to room, 3 levels, inside, outside, so that I could understand this listing and understand the potential buyer. Who's the right buyer for this house? How do I think like them? One of the big takeaways that day was, and I shared this with Trey on site, I want to create a moment when the door opens so that this foyer, because it was a very defined foyer, this intentional space will lead the buyer straight back to that living room with those enormous windows and all that natural light. That was my goal. Everything else was going to naturally come together, but I needed to make sure that that mission was accomplished. He was like, I get it. He offered a little insight as well. I think he requested like a transitional style for the furniture. Little traditional, little modern. Cool. Here's what you don't know about stagers though. Yeah, those of us that have the big warehouses, we oftentimes have furniture out in other homes. And so sometimes we get a little limited. And then we have to pull things together, make it beautiful, make it work. make a purchase or two. And so, with that being said, after the consultation, I went back to the warehouse to start creating the design. That is one of the most important pieces to satisfying a home stage installation. Making sure that every piece is intentional and that it speaks to the buyer, not the seller, not the agent, not me, but the buyer. That's who we want to impress, right? So, I get there and I'm trying to pull everything together. And after deciding what sofa will meet, what chair will meet, which rug, which new coffee table, because again, I was focused specifically on the foyer and the living room for this home. Get it all together. The crew then has to go and pull everything that I've specified. They have to climb up on the ladders, pull the chairs down off the racks. They have to roll the rugs out, make sure everything is wrapped tightly. All the accessories, the numerous pieces of pottery, the plants, all that has to be binned safely so that it arrives unbroken. Then from there, they have to load all that on the truck. So you pull it out, that's heavy number one. Then you load it, that's strength number two. You drive it to the location and then you unload it. That's pickup number three. And in some cases, you can't perfectly place it as soon as you get in. So then you have to place it. There we go. That's lift number four. It's hard work in home staging. Okay, so then we're there, we're installing. Trey was amazing with this project. He did everything from, the drone footage to the professional photography and the video and the social media reels. And together, that collaboration got that house that sat on the market for nearly a full year. It's like 11 months to being sold and off his plate in less than 60. So that's how it all comes together. That's why, as I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, I need to do an upcoming episode on just what I mentioned earlier, helping an agent actually have the conversation with his seller about home staging. How do I introduce home staging to my seller? Yeah, we'll do that. That's coming up. Okay. But anyway, so this house sells. Well, why did I pick this home to talk about? Because it was my first $1 million home. Yep. It came from Trey Clifton. Now, prior to that home, I had a home we staged a home that sold literally $100 from $1 million. The end of last year, $999,900. We staged one last year, $969,000, $872,000. But I never met the $1 million threshold. And like I said earlier, it worked. The moment arrived and it worked. If this episode helped you, motivated you in any way, share it with someone that you think needs to hear it, especially that person that they're dealing with the crickets, they're dealing with the self-doubt. Listen, it can all come together. Which brings me to today's quote from Vincent van Gogh. Great things happen when a series of small things are brought together. That's when the magic happens. Subscribe, like, share, and until episode 4, remember, this is Toni Seville with Square Footage, your all-access pass to the real estate industry.